Well, the president's address also hinted at the possible reopening of schools, even as he allocated 6.5 billion shillings to the Ministry of Education towards that effort. But what would this return to the old reality entail? Gina Kirori takes a closer look at how the danger that lurks with the virus would need to be kept at bay should classes be back in session.
We know that parents, and indeed our children across the country, are concerned about what the future holds for them. But I want to assure you that in the very near future, we shall be communicating after the extensive discussions that are ongoing between parent-teachers associations with our teachers.
While the words of President Uhuru Kenyatta may have been reassuring for parents who have had to turn to unforeseen alternatives such as homeschooling and online learning, the excitement has also brought with it a fresh wave of concern about how learning will take place as the threat of the virus lurks about. It is for this reason that a number of those in the education sector are calling for tight measures to be put in place to make sure that when chalk touches the board in the classroom, children are kept safe across the board.
I think we should not open the schools en masse, but because of what is happening, it is good for us to open the schools with the candidates, that is the standard 8s and the form 4s. And about the preparation, I think the first thing would be sensitizing our learners about the COVID-19. And then we make sure that we have adequate water points and also flowing water, soap, and it could be strict rules on visitors visiting the school.
Children with underlying conditions are classified as high risk and need to be factored in plans to reopen schools.
We have children who are asthmatic. We know that we have children who are on ARVs. We know that we have children who are epileptic. So it's important, first of all, for each school to map out these children and see how best they would be able to address them.
The World Health Organization has outlined the guidelines for countries that are looking to reopen their education sectors. These include making sure to listen to children's concerns and answer their questions in an age-appropriate manner, also encouraging them to express and communicate their feelings, introducing the concept of social distancing, including standing farther away from friends and avoiding large crowds, focusing on good health behaviors such as covering coughs and sneezes with the elbow and washing hands, demonstrating why it is important to wash hands for 20 seconds with soap and water. For example, by putting oil on a child's hands and asking them to wash their hands with only water to demonstrate the ineffectiveness, and then asking them to add soap so that they can see how it assists them in understanding how effective soap is. But the situation may require a more precise look at the country's own situation.
The governments are left to look at those guidelines and see how best they can implement them based on their situation. So our situation is very different. We might not have all the facilities. It would be good to test.
In the meantime, the government has already set up a task force and penned down a number of strategies in a bid to strengthen the education sector, including hiring 10,000 teachers and an additional 1,000 ICT interns to support digital learning platforms. But for some educationists, the basic element of a healthy group of students is the most paramount.
I would rather have a child who is healthy in my house than have one who is sick. And therefore, there is that fear that is among the parents. You see, even if we are to take all the children to class, we know very well that is that stage of asymptomatic stage, where some children might be infected, but they are not showing any signs.
These are valid thoughts from Zhao, as 2% of those affected by the coronavirus worldwide are children, while the number in the country is at 9%. In France, 70 students were reported to have contracted COVID-19 after the reopening of schools. This taught the country and the world at large that the decision to reopen schools may have its own advantages, but comes with a great share of risks. Gena Kirori, NTV.